Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Breaking news this afternoon. Fonseca, Paulo Fonseca to Tottenham appears to be off. Confirmed by Damasio, confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. Physical problems, financial problems, economic problems between the two parties being quoted here. And for me, I am not shocked. Let me just say this now. I am not shocked by this news. I'm not shocked by it in any way, in any shape, or in any form. Legitimately not. I can't be. I can't be shocked by it. I can't be shocked by it at all. For me, it's massive, massive news. The deal was broken down. It's another failing here for Spurs, or is it? So when I say I'm not shocked, is it? Is there a sting in the tail here? Has something happened? We pointed out the other day, after everybody said it was done, they were just waiting to sign the contract. What were Tottenham waiting for? It could just be they don't have the money. Or could it be they were waiting for a better option to be available? Could they be going back in for Antonio Conte? Could something change with Poch? Could there be a different manager that they think is better than Fonseca that's presented itself? Only time will tell. In other news today, Raphael Varane, £50 million bid. We've got the inside track on that. We're going to give you an update in relation to that. A £50 million bid expected for Ben White, we're going to delve into as well. A lot of people speaking about Hakimi to Chelsea being imminent, being a done deal. We broke you that news this morning. We told you that news this morning via Peter O'Rourke. It's going to be a deal. He's going to be a Chelsea player. They're competing against Paris Saint-Germain, but Hakimi wants to play in the Premier League. He prefers the move to Chelsea. Chelsea have made some serious bids and offers, so I'm not surprised to hear that move has sort of broken and moved forward this afternoon. Legitimately not. It seems like something that was always going to happen in relation to that. And let's see how it transpires. But as far as I can tell, the deal will get done. That deal will get done. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Felix here says, Austin. Okay, he's asking me to stop spamming there. Someone sent me the link to where everyone telling me where it's been confirmed, though. Can you show me where that's being confirmed? I would like to know. Can someone please point me in that direction? But I want to hear from you all. I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know what your feelings are. We're going to share the link now in the live comment section for you to call in, because it's big news. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. We're going to share the link on the calling section of the Discord server as well. I'm going to put that on there right now and share it for everyone to phone in. Lots of big breaking news this afternoon. We're going to go through all of these transfer stories with you. So make sure you stay with the Football Terrace. Varane update. Very important update. Been sent directly to me by Dean Jones. I'm going to take you all through it around exactly what is going on there. Plus confirmed to me by two other journalists as well. A lot of people saying Fabrizio has tweeted. What have they said here? Okay, Paulo Fonseca to Tottenham is 100% off. Deal collapsed because of taxes issue, despite contract already being completed and set to be signed. Fonseca had tax advantages from an Italian law, which would not be applicable in the UK. Spurs in talks with Gattuso now. Listen, I mean, Gattuso, is it an improvement? But some people may see it as an improvement. I'm willing to take your opinions on that. This tax thing, they knew about this tax thing since day one. Yeah, I'm not too sure on it. I'm not sure if it's just, I've heard about it before, like the tax that high-level earners pay in Italy is a lot less than in the UK, but everybody would have been aware of it. It's just like basic information. Spurs, for me, held on. Spurs, for me, delayed this deal until this point, and they were waiting for a better option to come along. A better option is here. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Fonseca deal off. Ben White to Arsenal for 50 million. Raphael Varane to Man United for 50 million. And also, a lot of people reporting this afternoon that Hakimi to Chelsea is imminent. Hakimi to Chelsea is all but done as well. That wouldn't surprise me. I'm going to jump into your calls on this right now. Straight away, we're going to go to Leaf here, who's a Spurs fan. Leaf, what's your reaction to this news?
We're so unlucky. I mean, this is our doing because we didn't get him before. But I don't know why we didn't sign him. The wages are definitely not a problem. What's so funny is that the difference in wage between our demands and Contenu's demands are his wages, 2-3 million. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on, but I read some reports that there are some problems with him being in Ukraine and he's not traveling, and also his Roma contract does not allow him to manage at a certain point, so he cannot manage us before August if he doesn't sign the contract, which he can't because he's in Ukraine in holidays. I don't get it, but it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. I say it's crazy. I think you've done this on purpose. I think you've delayed this deal in the hope of signing someone in the eyes of the Tottenham board is better. Maybe they think Gattuso is an individual. For me, this feels premeditated. This doesn't feel like I obviously report on what the top journalists say, and we did a video a few days ago when it said that the deal was done and it was agreed. They were simply waiting for Fonseca to come and sign the deal. But then it went on for 2 or 3 more days. I can't quite find the tweet, but I just put up Fonseca and smoke because for me, it just felt like there was a bit of a smoke screen going on. It felt like to me things were being delayed on purpose. If Gattuso is the manager, do you feel that's a better option than Fonseca?
I mean, straight off the bat, no, because Gattuso is not Paratici's first choice. Paratici, the day he came in, he immediately said, "I want Fonseca," and then we went to got him. And then it was reported that after Paratici agreed terms with Fonseca, he then presented this to the board. And apparently, the board have said no since we didn't get him, and the talks have stalled. I have a feeling that the board maybe lied to Paratici, told him, yeah, it's gonna happen, but it didn't. So immediately, 1 week after we got the director of football, we don't even trust him anymore. Or maybe there are other problems. Gattuso, I mean, I don't know. I would have to research about him like I did with Fonseca. But Gattuso literally yesterday just fought with the owners of Fiorentina after being appointed for 20 days. So he's much more tougher than Fonseca. He got Napoli to fifth place. He has good tactics, I guess, but if he's
Well,
not
yeah,
Paratici's first choice, so
we
immediately that's not good.
mate, we will see what transpires with this one, my friend. It's going to be interesting, no doubt about it whatsoever. Thanks very much for coming on, Leaf, and having your say. Very intrigued to see how this transpires and moves forward. We are talking Hakimi to Chelsea. Big reports across social media. No one sent me a link yet as to where they're telling me that this deal is imminent or done. Someone post a link and we'll put it up on the screen. Fonseca is off. Arsenal to bid £50 million for Ben White. We broke that news this morning on the Done Deal show, but we want to take your opinions on that now. Man United's bid for Rafael Varane. I'm going to give you a full update on that very, very soon indeed. But before we do that, we're going to go to a Chelsea fan here. The Winter Surfer's in the house. What are you saying, bro?
Spurs. They never fail to disappoint, Terry. The gift that keeps on giving, Spurs. But on to more important clubs. Yeah, the Hakimi deal. I've not seen a link either, so I'm just waiting. But I'm not saying it's done until I see that picture of him signing it with Marina on the club website, that contract. But if it goes through, yeah, I'm excited. He's the best at his position at right wing back. He scored 7 goals last season, Terry. That's how much Jorginho, our top scorer, scored last season for us. He's already.
Oh, I think we're frozen there a little bit. Call us back up, Andrew. I'm not too sure what happened there, my friend. I'm not too sure what happened there. Next on the show, we're gonna go to Matt. Matt, who do you support, buddy?
Man United.
What are you here to say?
You got to laugh at Tottenham, haven't you? They're in serious money issues, but they don't want to sell Kane, their most valuable asset, and they're struggling to even employ managers now. And obviously there's a massive financial cost still to sacking managers and employing them. But if you're in that much of an issue and you're not willing to sell your most valued asset, how on earth are you going to progress? You've got to lose somewhere. You've got to have a compromise, because you can't keep going on like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, from my point, from my point of view, it's a case of something's got to give. It's the whole Harry Kane thing, as you mentioned, it becomes catch-22. The more they mess around, the longer it takes to appoint a manager, the harder it's going to be to convince Harry Kane that you're the right club for him. Because what does it say about your plan? What does it say about the direction that you're going in? What does it say about any of those things? So it's atrocious right now, the way Tottenham appear to be behaving. The only saving grace is, I do think this element with Fonseca has been, I think it's premeditated. I think legitimately they've held on until they found a better option. That's why they didn't pull the trigger, and they've just kind of using this tax thing as a bit of a cover story, in my opinion. It just always felt like, I spoke to a number of Spurs fans behind the scenes that don't really do socials, and they all said there's someone else in the pipeline, or maybe even Conte talks will return, because something about the Fonseca deal didn't make sense to them. Because when it first got reported, which was a week ago, it was like, yep, the manager is just desperate to join. For him, it was almost like a bolt from the blue. Why are you asking me to do this? I didn't think I was, it's like asking Peter Andre to headline Glastonbury. It was just so, it would never happen. So of course he jumped at the chance. Now they're trying to act like there was all these, they're almost trying to make it sound like Fonseca wanted to be paid too much money to cover what he was losing from the tax situation at Roma. No, Fonseca managing a massive Premier League team. That's beyond his wildest dreams. As I say, that's Peter Andre.
Perhaps it's so public. All their issues have been so public now. It's like, I don't know, any manager looking at going into Spurs, you've got to take it, you've got to be warned, because, the way that they're firing managers left, right and centre now, obviously, or not even being able to sign managers left, right and centre, it's a massive warning to any manager that looks to go in there. You're going to have to start like going for, not necessarily Graham Potters of the world, but people of that sort of ilk, for lesser known managers that really aren't taking any big jobs, because they're not acting seriously enough to go, so yeah, we're going to get our target first one, Antonio Conte. He's the right guy for the job. We'll pay for him. They're just not acting the way that they should be doing.
No, I totally agree. I completely and utterly get where you're coming from. Listen, thank you very much for calling in, Matt. Not a problem. Top man. Thank you. Round up for everybody quickly. If you're new to tuning in, first of all, hit that like button. Make sure that's smashed. Nearly 1,500 of you watching. Let's get this live video past 1,000 likes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get that done right now. I know everyone forgets to do it, but also subscribe and turn on bell notifications. I'm watching people do it. I see the numbers going up. I can see you're all doing it. Thank you very, very much indeed. The big breaking news this afternoon: Fonseca to Tottenham is off. Gattuso is now in talks, but it's another managerial failure in whichever way around you want to look at it for Tottenham Hotspur. Dan McCarthy, of course, business partners and podcast partner with Simon Phillips from Tottenham, has confirmed that Chelsea have gone in very aggressive with Hakimi. They're at the front of the race. Tuchel really wants him. He has said in his tweet here, not done yet. Not done yet. That's why I put the question mark up, because a lot of people were saying it was imminent. We told you this morning via Peter O'Rourke, highly likely to happen. Chelsea are leading the race. He wants to come to the Premier League. You're making better offers to Inter Milan than are being made by Paris Saint-Germain. Hakimi, I'm going to go on record here, based on everything I've read and seen, he will be a Chelsea player going into next season. Arsenal fans, we need to hear from you. Ben White, £50 million is the quoted price you're going to go in for him for. You bid 40. You're talking about 45 million. They say they want 50. It's quoted or mooted really as being somewhere in the region of a £45 million base with almost guaranteed incentives to raise it up to that £50 million mark. How do you feel about that? And the Rafael Varane deal, I'm going to take you through that in a few moments, because I'm not saying the information that's been presented to us today is wrong. That isn't true. That isn't true that information is wrong, but there is it's been fabricated somewhat. We have some super chats to go to first. Get your questions in as well. It says, what are the benefits of not having a manager when there are a lot of work to be done in terms of the transfer window? There's no benefit to not having a manager. It's very, very difficult to convince a player to join any club when they have no idea who's managing. What direction are we going in? What style of football? Does that manager fancy me? You can't decide. Fonseca and Gattuso, do they manage the same? Do they want the same profile of player? They went after Brendan Rodgers, and Nagelsmann, are they similar in the way they play? These questions need to be posed by Tottenham fans. There's no doubt about it. That's what the worrying factor is going to be, because the Euros will be over before we know it. And if they don't have a manager appointed, transfer work slows down. There's a comment here from Maria Williams, one of our long-standing Spurs fans. She says, I think I might just not listen to any social media and switch on for the first match of our season. Our board are a joke, is what Maria Williams has got to say here. I completely get where you're coming from. I completely get where you're coming from. I understand the frustration. If you're a Spurs fan watching and you want to phone up and have your say, we've posted the link in the live comment section. It's on our Discord server. But do you know what I'll also do? I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to post it in the... I never spell words right when I rush. I'm going to post it in the description below. I've saved that into our description below. So refresh the stream, and the StreamYard link is in there for you to call in with. I'm going to talk Raphael Varane for a minute as well, though. So the news broke today via the MEN and Samuel Lockhurst that Man United have submitted a £50 million bid. I've spoke to a number of journalists, one of which has gone on the record with me, of Dean Jones. We'll go into what he said in a moment. The other two haven't at this moment in time. But they've been on the show fairly recently, so that helped give you an understanding of who they are. One of them is bona fide tier 1. Man United have not submitted an official bid for Raphael Varane. They have made inquiries via the intermediary as to whether or not £50 million would be enough. Man United, the reason they haven't gone in officially is, one, they're still trying to ascertain what their budget is. Man United don't know what their budget is for players after the purchase of Jadon Sancho. Why do they not? Because they have to sell players to spend above £40 million on any other position. This has been reported for many, many months. Man United don't have the money for 60, 70, 80 million pound players after buying Jadon Sancho. They have to sell before they buy. Some of the biggest assets that they're looking to potentially sell, two of which are at the Euros in David De Gea and Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba will sit down with Manchester United after the Euros to decide what he is going to do. Man United will make a decision as to whether or not they're going to sell him. You have the Anthony Martial situation. Some small amount of work has been done towards potentially moving him on to raise funds. And of course, you've got some fringe players as well that will raise money, the Phil Joneses of this world, and the Jesse Lingard situation. Until United know what's happening with those players leaving and they have an understanding of what their budget is or how much of their remaining turnover they can spend on players, an official Raphael Varane bid is deemed as very unlikely right now. The second reason why it's very unlikely that Man United have submitted a bid, no one knows what Raphael Varane wants. Nobody knows what Raphael Varane wants, whether he wants to stay at Real Madrid or whether he wants to move to England, or whether he wants to go back to France. The news keeps fluctuating between these areas. What I'm reliably told this afternoon is Man United have not, it's unlikely that Man United have submitted this bid for the financial element. But the biggest reason is United are not sure yet whether Raphael Varane is actually serious about leaving Real Madrid. It isn't confirmed within the industry as to whether or not Raphael Varane actually will and actually wants to leave Real Madrid this summer. And a lot of top journalists now think with Ramos leaving, Real Madrid are going to bow down to the demands of Raphael Varane and pay him the money he first requested. So was there a £50 million bid? It went through the intermediaries. It's an inquiry. It isn't an official bid. It isn't an official rejection. Man United are not going to, just like Chelsea have decided not to, push any further forward with this deal until they understand exactly what the player wants. Does the player want to join? Does he really want to leave Real Madrid? None of that, by the way, will be decided until after France are out of the Euros. They are making it probably to the final. So you're looking at another 2 to 3 weeks until this moves forward any further. So I wouldn't panic at this moment in time. The kind of inquiry Man United have made is absolutely normal for at this stage of proceedings. We have a super chat here from Luke that says Hakimi has removed Inter Milan from his Insta bio, and the deal is to believe between 40 and 50 million plus Alonso. I'm a Chelsea fan, and that deal would be amazing. Hakimi is going to be a Chelsea player. Every single journalist I've spoken to on the show live and behind the scenes has said it looks all but done. Details to be confirmed. The words from Peter O'Rourke this morning, if I was a betting man, I'd put money on it happening. It pretty much looks a foregone conclusion from this point. We're here to take your calls. We're here to know what you're thinking and feeling and saying about these deals. We've got KJ backstage. We've got Jess backstage waiting to come on very soon. Andrew's back with us now, though. I want to get Andrew's views on Hakimi to Chelsea. What are you saying, mate?
Yeah, sorry about before. Don't know what happened with my Wi-Fi. Hakimi, yeah. I haven't seen the link either, but everyone's saying it's pretty close. Yeah, I think that's an amazing deal. You know, it will elevate the squad, elevate the first team, elevate players around him. It's going to offer so much in terms of squad flexibility and rotation as well. All those worried about Reece James, don't be worried about Reece James. Reece James is going to play right centre back or right wing back. Don't worry about it. I think it's going to be first. I think this work on Haaland, maybe get Haaland, and then we're going to see a lot of outgoings before we see anyone else come in. But Hakimi, Hakimi's a great deal even further, especially if we can get rid of Alonso in a swap as well. I mean, that would be an amazing piece of business to get Hakimi and get rid of Alonso at the same time. I don't think that's a dream. That's a dream for me. Get rid of Alonso with and get Hakimi in. And also, I'm looking at his stats last season. Hakimi scored 7 goals from right wing back. That's as much as Jorginho, our top scorer, got last season, and his assist as well. Just if we get Haaland or striker in, just just a fantastic deal.
Yeah, it's absolutely. If you're able to pull that off, it is sensational. There's no doubt about that whatsoever, mate. And it looks like a very close one happening. What the help here is the fact that you don't need. He's not at the Euros. He's not at a tournament. So he's one of the very few players linked with moves that isn't involved with an international tournament this summer. So it's a lot more simplistic for Chelsea to be able to get done and get over the line and get people excited about. But buddy, thank you very much for coming back on, mate. I know you had some connection issues. Top man. Thank you. We're going to get Jess and we're going to get KJ. I never know if KJ's there when he has his camera off. I've never have any idea as to whether he's there or not. Man's coming on now. I'm going to get him and Jess on together, create a bit of a panel. Then we're going to start taking your calls. Lots to get through, lots to digest. Let's go to this here. KJ's here with us. Jess is here as well. I want to speak to Jess first. Lots of transfer activity with your team, Arsenal, in the making, which we're going to delve into. But give me your thoughts on your North London rivals, Tottenham, pulling away from another managerial deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising. I thought they'd get the Fonseca thing over the line. It's weird that they can't get it done. It's not like he's a world-class manager or anything like that, but I just think that this signifies just a little bit more that Spurs are in kind of like a very weird in-between space. They're not quite where they were a couple years ago, and it looks like they need to really evaluate where they are as a club. They've been trying to be a part of the Big Six for a while, and they kind of keep falling short. And I think that's because they're cutting corners. So maybe look at a different type of manager that can do a rebuild, because that's really what you guys need right now. So I don't want to talk too much smack about them because, it's Arsenal and we could do something stupid as well. But it's time to rebuild, start over, and come back when you're ready. Come back when you're ready.
Yeah, no, mate, I hear you on that. I think it's an interesting take in terms of what they're doing on Arsenal. As you mentioned, there's a reported bid that could be in and around the £50 million mark for Ben White. There's the Maddison news and everything else. What's your take on the Ben White situation? First of all, is that a deal that you're excited about getting completed? It looks pretty legit.
I mean, I'm coming around to it. I thought in the beginning, if we were going to look at a center back, it was going to maybe conflict with something else that we really need, maybe like a central midfielder. That doesn't actually look like the case. It looks like we'll have money for both. So as long as we're able to address both, which we do need another center back. I know Arsenal fans are like, what about Saliba? If you start the season with Saliba and Ben White, Gabriel and Marie, are you really complaining? Like, why are we so up in arms about a good player? We have to replace David Luiz. That's the reality. And they're pretty similar in the way that they play. They can dribble out of the back, pass, really good with the ball at their feet. I don't think he's necessarily like the best defender in the world, but I don't think that that's what we're looking for. So for me, he would step straight in because he's played in the Premier League. We don't really need to be going out and getting players overseas. So I'm coming around to the idea that this is a good deal to do. It's fine, as long as we still address what we really need to, which is our central midfield. So I'm not mad at it, and I don't really understand why the Arsenal fan base is capitulating. It's like 1 minute spend some money, and then the next minute it's like, well, he cost a lot. He's a British player that's on the English national. He's gonna cost you 50 million. Like, get real. So it is what it is. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. And AJ, £50 million for him. Do you think that's too much money? You're muted, by the way, bro.
In the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's way too much. Like, in terms of just like, as the player Ben White, as he is now, 50 million is not what you attach to him. But again, Arsenal need players. Arsenal need to advance, and Arsenal need players that want to be at Arsenal. Like, he wants to be there. You can see his agent already rushing over to the Arsenal places and be like, "Yo, get this deal done. My client wants to come." So, is he worth 50 million? No, but is that the premium you're gonna have to play for a young up-and-coming centre back who is English in the national team, who's currently at the Euros? Yeah, and as Arsenal, as an Arsenal fan, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be annoyed at the price. But then I look at the squad and be like, what would I rather keep Rob Holding? Would I rather have Chambers? Like what would you rather have? And yeah, you listen to the Arsenal a weird spot of you don't want to spend the money because you don't trust your board with using that money. But at the same time, if you don't spend the money, you're not getting players. You don't trust the players that you've already got anyway. So yeah, I think they're just gonna have to do it. They're just gonna have to bite the bullet. They seem to think that he is the man, because otherwise they wouldn't be willing to pay up to 50 million for him. So yeah, just go get your man, go get it done, and see what happens afterwards, and then you can complain about that million after.
Absolutely. And your take on the Fonseca situation at Tottenham?
These man, listen, when Big Shaq said, "I don't think you got the facilities for that, big man," he was talking about Spurs. He was talking about Spurs. These men have no facilities, bro. It's so poor. It's so poor. I feel like Jess said, they're not in a place to be getting these fancy managers from abroad and using your DOF. Like, these men ain't there for that. They need a rebuild, and they need to go back to the roots and the basics of why they got in this position in the first place. They got there because they saw a young Poch, saw what he could do, and they're like, right, let's give him this squad, let's let him build and see where we can go from there. They need to start again. Going after all these managers from abroad who have done what in the Premier League? What have they done? You don't even know if they're working the Prem. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They need Prem proven. They need young up and coming manager. Because Gattuso, man's just finished scrapping with his board and left after 20 days. And you want him to come in and at Spurs? No, none of that. Get Graham Potter in now, bro.
Exactly.
It's true. Listen, they need to go back to something. Maria here says Ali Gold tweeted about saying Fonseca wasn't our first choice. Do you know what? Like, Ali Gold is, of course, he's connected. Everyone knew that Fonseca wasn't the first choice because he wasn't on that first list of players that was put together. Where this already becomes dangerous, though, is that he was on the top of the pile for Paratici. Now, what does that say about him? You've brought him in as director of football. His job is to make these decisions. You pay him to make those decisions, and we have to wait for the dust to settle. But if they've already pulled the rug from under his feet, it's just crazy. And what Dean Jones said on this show on Tuesday, and it was more in relation to the Harry Kane situation, and he said, "City have got to test their resolve because Daniel Levy." He's behaving so out of character, told Jose, and second guessing himself. So told Jose Mourinho, don't want a director of football. Now he's appointed one. You know, it's this manager's coming, this manager isn't coming. He doesn't go back on himself, but then try to get re-sign Poch as an example. There's all these little things going on at the moment at the club. There's multiple other examples that he gave, which at the top of my head I don't quite remember. But he said a lot of people in the industry are just looking at it like Daniel Levy is flapping because he's under pressure. It's the most perfect time to send in a bid. And Spurs just feel like, considering they were in a Champions League final 2 years ago, their fall from grace it just feels astronomical. It really, really does. We're going to go to some calls. I want to get some more people on. I want to get some people in to have their say. Igal is trying to join us. We'll get Igal on after we go through some calls here. We're speaking Fonseca to Tottenham being off. We're speaking Rafael Varane to Man United. Hakimi to Chelsea. I've just checked out Simon Phillips's thing here. Get excited. Get excited, Chelsea fans. This deal is exceedingly close. And I just had a text message as well from a certain Belgian man who I asked about the deal also about 40 minutes ago. He's come back to me saying all but done. All but done to Chelsea. And KJ knows the man I'm talking about. Chelsea fans, get excited about that. Phone up and have your say. The link to call in is in the description below. We're also talking Arsenal's. I'm gonna call it Arsenal's transfer melee. You know when you buy like multiple, like you get like a medley. We're gonna call it. We're gonna look at Arsenal's transfer medley. I bought something the other day. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm getting a call here from someone who's a Spurs fan at Snack, and I'm scared to answer it. Are they going to sack me? I don't know. Have I revealed something? There we go. Listen, we're going to go to some calls here. First up on the show is going to be... I tend to go for people whose cameras are turned on first. I'm going to go to Jason first of all. Jason.
Well, so I'm for Arsenal this year. I'm an Arsenal fan anyway. So looking at Ben White's news, it was just like... It was a mixed reaction because 50 million for Ben White. And I was thinking... We need other players to, we need other players more than Ben White. I don't think we need Ben White at the moment, even though we do need a centre back at the moment. But we need like two midfielders before that. I feel like if we do sign the other players first and then put Ben White first as an icing on the cake, it would make sense. But Ben White first, it doesn't bind well for me. You know what I mean?
But oh, we're getting a bit of feedback from your end there. I'm not too sure why. I understand the frustrations that you have. I understand that you want bigger and better. I just feel like I don't think Ben White is as bad a signing as people are making him out to be. If his name was Bengenio, I think he'd like it a little bit more. I do think there's an element of boring, unflavored.
Can I say something really quick though, Terry, about this whole thing? I just think that we're assuming that means we're not going to get the other players. And reliable journalists have said it's a center back and two midfielders. We already know we're going to get Lokonga, and we're still on track to get either Neves or Basuma. So if you know that then you're looking at it like, oh, they're going to actually address a lot of issues in one window, which is what we've been asking for. I just think we're so distrustful of the whole thing that we're making things up in our mind. We're so like aggressive about like, oh my gosh, they're not going to do the right thing. But if you're telling me right now that we're going to get either Basuma or Neves, Lokonga, Ben White, and maybe a James Maddison, I bite your hand off for it. Like, what are we complaining about? I don't get it.
Yes, you are so spot on. And as I say, we've had this with two shows this week on the Done Deal show, and that's been the rhetoric. You're looking at multiple players. Dean Jones confirmed this. Arsenal's transfer budget, it's not gargantuan like City's, but it's bigger than a lot of the media have put out. Yes, it's a bit of a scattergun approach for looking at players because you don't quite know who you can and can't get, but you will sign two midfielders. Lokonga's going to be one of them. It's almost done as we speak right now. And then you've got Basuma and Neves that you're inquiring about. And it's very sensible that you're looking at both of those players because one of them might suddenly get interest from Chelsea or interest from Liverpool and turn their heads. It would be stupid for Arsenal to put all their hats in one basket and then miss out on that player. So I say to Arsenal fans, relax a little bit and let that dust settle. Jason, thank you very much for calling in, mate, and having your say. Next on the show, we're going to go to... I'm going to try and pronounce this name right. Dag Mawari. It might not be right, but there we go. What are you saying, buddy?
You're muted.
You're unmuted, bro.
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Remind everyone who you support.
I'm a Chelsea fan.
Give me your thoughts on Hakimi to Chelsea.
Oh, man. In the words of Monster. Oh, man. Beware, beware. The time has come. We're just getting revitalized. We're re-upping, and it's time to go again. What I love about this move is now nobody knows what we're going to do next year. Are we going back to a back three? Are we going to play in a back four? Nobody knows because whatever we want to do, we can. Middle of the game, he wants to switch it up, we can. We have all the players we need right now. If this Erling Haaland signing goes through, I mean, it's just all excitement from our ends. There's nothing else to say about it. It's absolute. This is the news that we wanted to hear coming in, right? You win the Champions League. What do? You go back and you reinvest and you go again, right? We won the Champions League in 2012. We got Aspi, we got Hazard, and we went again. Now, we all know it's maybe an uncertainty that Haaland's going to stay for more than the first contract, but at this point, we don't care. We're going to make money on that, and even with this Hakimi thing, both of them are young stars. So we're going to be able to make our money back even if they decide to move on in the future. That's the type of business that this club should be looking to do, right? They should never be looking at the Marcos Alonso deals that we did, the Zappacosta deals, the Bakayoko deals that we did, right? There's moves that look like even in 5 years' time, they really weren't going to go anywhere. But now the way that the club is invested into these young stars, I mean, it's just bliss. It's absolute bliss.
Listen to them, man. Listen to them. They get it.
They're getting excited. It's
I know it is. No, it is. I'm happy for you guys because your club's running in a wonderful way, and you gotta respect it, man. But at the same time, bun you, man, fam. Hakimi, bro. I hate to see it.
Yeah, listen. Thank you very much for. How do I pronounce your name correctly? I want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah, so it's Digmawi, but you can just call me Dad. That's fine.
Hey, I'll just do that next time. That's easy for me. Digmawi. Okay, cool. Top man, thanks very much for calling in, mate, and having your say. Do you know what though? What I will say about the two main deals Chelsea are looking at. Neither of the players are at the Euros. It is easier. Like, just to put that into perspective, if the Euros wasn't happening, would the Varane thing be sorted out by now? Potentially, because Real Madrid would want it sorted out by now, having lost Sergio Ramos. Why has Sergio Ramos' decision been made now and not in 3 weeks' time? Because he's not at the Euros. So fans have to relax a little bit. I saw all these tweets from United accounts today showing the asking prices of our main targets and how much we've reported to have bid. That's what everybody does. The first bid Chelsea put in for Hakimi was below the asking price. It's just natural, and I think fans have got to relax a little bit there.
That goes into what Jess was saying with the trusting of the board. Like Man United fans, Arsenal fans, Spurs fans don't trust their boards at what they do. So when they do normal things, it's seen as you're crap, you're terrible, you're not doing it right, no matter what they do. So again, until those clubs build those trusts back with the fans, we're just going to be vexed. Like literally, I tweeted Glazers out yesterday or the day before, and someone asked me, what do they do now? And I just said, they just breathed. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to do anything. And I'm just annoyed. So, yeah.
It's just every day. I've had a text here as well. Tier 1 update, right? I asked who Spurs talking to now. This is a response. It just made me laugh. This person would never tweet this, but this is their response. I don't have a fucking clue. Fuck knows at this point. I'm tired of it. That's just from a journalist. That's a journalist's view on it. They're like, nah, I can't be dealing with it. That's what's going on at Tottenham right now. We've got Caspar on the show next. Remind everyone who you support, buddy.
Tottenham.
I didn't think so. Give me your thoughts. Fonseca deal off. Maybe Gattuso coming in. Give me your opinions, brother.
Well, Gattuso, I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about him. The only thing anyone knows is when he said that maybe good, maybe shit thing. So that's all we've got to cling on to, really. But
it's an elite quote. That's an elite quote.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't understand what's going on. All the what Fabrizio said about like economic problems stopping it from going through. I don't understand how he was apparently on like 3 million a year or something. How is that an economic problem? He's not exactly going to be demanding. He's just come from Roma and done a pretty underwhelming job, and before that was at Shakhtar. It's not like we're going after Pep or something who's gonna, it's not. He shouldn't need too much convincing. He should be jumping at the chance to come, but I don't know how they managed to mess it up. But
do you know what I think it is? Honestly, mate, I honestly don't. I don't think it's messed up. I think this is premeditated. I think they were talking to him. They need to get a manager in because they've got to start working on their deals. They've got to start working on the plan for next year. And it was almost he was left. And the only other options that were still around and available that they had preliminary talks with were the likes of Martinez, the likes of Gareth Southgate, who are they're both at the Euros. And again, like Fonseca, they weren't really targets they necessarily wanted. Maybe Gattuso represents, because of Gattuso's name in the game, he'll get a bit more leeway than a Fonseca. Has he really achieved anything as a manager to set him apart from any of those other names. He's, do you know what I mean? He was a great player. He was a great footballer, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a particularly good manager. But I think Spurs are just looking. It's a little bit of PR in this. Can we find a better option that excites the fan base more, gets the juices flowing more? There was something off about not signing the deal because the first 3 or 4 days, it was basically Fonseca think, you know, his wildest dream has come true. He's been offered a job that he didn't even, I'm not saying he didn't feel qualified for, but he probably felt like, how has my run at Roma got me this opportunity at a massive Premier League team in the biggest league in the world, a club with the, you know, the stadium they've got with the likes of Harry Kane and Son signing it? How have I managed to fluke this? And the fact that Spurs didn't push ahead and get the deal signed tells me they're waiting for something. And I get a feeling that Gattuso might not even be the guy. I think there's something else at play here. I don't know what it is. No one said there's anything, but something just feels, you know, you smell a rat. I just smell a rat. I just think there's something going on here, bro. I really do.
But at some point, you've got to actually get a manager. Like, there's all this, you can wait as long as you want for someone better to like come available, like they did with Conte, but that was about like 30, 40 days after we lost a manager. We've been 60 days without a manager, and all the reports are we're trying to get rid of all these players like Winks, Sissoko, Aurier, all of them, and we're going to bring in quite a few players. How are you supposed to do that when you don't have a manager and you leave it so late so that there's no time for them to give an input into kind of who you want? It just doesn't make any sense, like what they're trying to do.
Totally agree. Fabrizio's just
No.
Listen to this is how tired people are getting of it. It says Gattuso is now leading the never-ending race to join Tottenham. Talks progressing. That
we could be the only club to break Fabrizio. The only absolutely.
Listen, Caspar, thanks very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. Thank you very much indeed. I was about to put Slendz on, and Slendz keeps dropping off. We've got a gal to come very soon, but KJ, you were going to say something, bro.
Yeah, about Gattuso in terms of, what has he done? He's won Coppa Italia.
Okay.
Like, he won it last season, or the 1920 season. So,
Fonseca's won more than him then.
Yeah, Fonseca's won more than him, but I think he's won more than him in Italy. So at least that's another manager that's got more pedigree than Poch. So you know what I'm saying?
Don't. Alex will steam in here in a minute and just be like, right. No, he'd be like this.
Where is
he? KJ, right, listen, I'm telling you now, right.
I don't agree with what you're saying.
Now you're blurry.
Now, where's my autofocus gone? What have I done to myself?
It's gone now.
Now you actually look like Alex.
Have I turned off autofocus by clicking on the button? I don't know what I've done. I've messed
Feels
this up.
like it.
There we go. We're back now. Next on the show, Slendz is here with us. What are you saying, bro?
We're ruining football again, man. It's happened again. We're ruining it, man. This is one of the best players in his position. Like, I'm saying, Chelsea fans get very excited. This is honestly this is a very big signing. Like, you might think it's someone that, because it came out of nowhere, people are not hyping it up to the level that it should be. But I'll be honest with you, this is a massive signing, because this guy, his production off the right, it creates a whole new avenue, man. A whole new avenue. We need to be praying for the rivals right now, because I promise you, shout out to Monster. Man, listen, I can't believe this is going on at Chelsea, and then you go 5 minutes, 20 minutes away, go to North London and see what's happening up there, man. Like, Spurs. Do you know what's funny? You know the big clubs, they appoint their former legends, right? Who can Spurs appoint as a former legend? Who's going to take over? They can't even do that. They can't even do that.
Harry Kane playing coach,
bro.
You know what I'm
saying? They're appointing a Milan legend. Like, they're appointing the Italian version of Frank Lampard to take over, man. It's peak, man. It's peak. That club is in ruins. But listen, for Chelsea, I just want to tell every Chelsea fans, if we sign Hakimi, we sign Haaland, we should be expecting the league. Expect the league. And if we don't win the league, for me, it's a failure. I'll say it straight up. It's a failure. We need the league. I think it's been 5 years without the league, and your expectations should always be your expectations of a season should always be as high as your owner's ambitions. That's how I see it. My owner's ambitions is to win the league. I can see it. The money we're spending, the moves we're making. So if we don't win it, we need to honestly, like, we need to be disappointed, because this is a sign. It's a sign, man. Everyone else is not strengthening. We are. City are looking a bit scary, but I'm not hearing any updates about City yet. So listen, league for me or nothing, man. 5 years without a league is too long.
I hear you on that. City will come. City will come in this window. It's highly likely they're gonna put a bid in for Harry Kane. They are looking at Jack Grealish, and there's contrary reports around whether Villa are planning for life without him or planning to build a bigger squad around him. But I think with what you're doing as a club is going to trigger Man City into action. If you bring in Haaland, City are not going to sit on their hands. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that kind of pans out and moves forward. It really, really is. Slendz,
Man United.
sorry?
Say if Chelsea made the Hakimi deal, do you think that could trigger Man United to try and get some deals done, or do you think we'll just take as long as we do?
Trippier.
Trippier. Well, listen, I mean, look, do you know what's interesting? Like, Man United are trying to get deals done. Like, Man United are legitimately working on trying to get deals done. That's what they're focusing on. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to get done and over the line. Will they be triggered in spending a bit more money? Yes, if they feel their place for top four is being challenged. Our owners don't care whether Chelsea, City, or Man United win the league. As long as we're in the top
Terry,
four.
Can I say something to United fans? You know United fans, yeah? You have to understand, if you don't get your first targets, don't settle for second. If you want Declan Rice, don't United fans don't settle for second or third choice, because I remember Chelsea with Conte, we settled for second and third choice, and we have players that we're still struggling from that just don't compete, that shouldn't be in our squad if we want to win the title. So I know United fans are frustrated, but it should give you some like motivation that your board's going for the first choice or nothing. I respect that.
Some second choices are good. Like Mo Salah was second choice for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Look how that turned out. So it just depends on the quality of second choice. But you're right. Like I've seen Man United fans say we need to get Varane over Sancho, and it's like basically saying we should stop going for Sancho now and just get Varane because Varane's there. I'm just like, but he's been our target for like 2 years, and we're on the cusp of signing him. Why would you want the club to drop everything just because another target's available? Because if they dropped it, you would be upset anyway. So right now, Man United fans, we're in a disarray right now.
Football fans just chat like so regularly. Football fans just chat nonsense when it comes to it's a bit like today with the bids. I'm sitting there as someone who's worked. I've never been involved in the bidding process of players. I've never said that. But I have been involved in the football financial element side of it. And it's so normal for clubs to lowball first and build offers up, add-ons and bonuses, installments. This is just stereotypical football. And every summer, a fan base moans about that approach from their club. And it's like every other club's doing the same. You morons.
Terry, we apparently we bid 70 mil plus Tammy Abraham and everyone for Haaland. Everyone had an hour. He's like, what are you doing? How are you going to know the price of a player? How are you going to know what they value him at? By putting a bid in first, and then you see what they come back with you with the price. They come back to you with, then you start negotiating. That's how it works. That's how every deal works.
And you test the water. Like I've said before, it's like what Man City are not going to bid 150 to 160 million pound first time for Harry Kane. It'll be maybe 100, maybe 110. They'll see what the response is like. They might get a sort of nearly. Then they're not going to suddenly jump up to 150, 160. They'll say, okay, well, 125 then. And they might save themselves 25 million pound. Everybody wants to save money on their deals. Like, it's just, it strikes me as strange. I understand the process of, it's not my money, so I don't care, overspend. But there isn't, even at Chelsea and City, there isn't a bottomless supply of money. So you have to be frugal at times and you have to be sensible at times. But listen, we know how that is. Slendz, brother, thank you very much for coming on, having your say, mate. Really appreciate that, my guy. Thank you very much indeed. If you want to phone in, the link is in the description below. But make sure you've smashed that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are closing in on 195,000 subscribers on the Football Terrace. We're like 120 away from doing that. And what's been really impressive analytically over the last month is the number of unique viewers we're getting each day. So we're almost at a point where we're at about 80% unique viewers for each individual video, which means we're really catering, I think, to multiple clubs at the same time, which was always the aim of the Terrace. We're going to get man like Igao on now to have his say. What are you saying, buddy?
How you guys doing? How's everyone? Honestly, I'm doing it. I'm just chilling, not stressed. You know what? I'm happy to see my club actually making making some signs that they're going to be trying to get some stuff done early. And you don't really see Arsenal submitting bids or making early moves in the transfer window. And this is promising signs for a window that we need to get a lot of deals done, for you to see Lokonga bids going in, Ben White bids going in, even though I might not be so fond on the Ben White signing itself, because I feel like we need to get other deals done first. It makes sense that we're not going for a right back until we get rid of Bellerin. It makes sense that we're doing things in chronicle order, it almost seems. And you know what? Some of these deals that we hear about today are here today, gone tomorrow. So let's not overly invest our energy into one player. Although if you look at my Twitter yesterday, I was going nuts about James Maddison. But yeah, I like this. And let me talk about Varane for a second. Manchester United, if you guys get Varane and you guys do get that center back pairing of Varane and Harry Maguire, that is going to be a very impressive defense right there. And no one can throw a salt at you guys trying to sign Varane, because every single club in the Premier League, if they had a chance to get Varane and they had that need, they would be like, you know what, it's great. Anyone who's making jokes and saying, oh, he's not so good without Ramos, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't watch football.
Yeah, you don't watch football. You're right.
Yeah, clearly. And I'm coming for KJ. And I see what you said too earlier. What do you call it, Jess? I was not out here yelling and screaming that Patson Daka should sign for Arsenal. I said, if Lacazette is gone and we can get a replacement, he's my ideal replacement.
Terry, how many times did Igal mention Patson Daka when he was talking about it?
I mentioned it for Chelsea fans. I mentioned it for Tottenham fans. I mentioned it for every single club that was looking at a striker. You should look at Patson Daka.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm GoldenEye. I don't know.
Yeah, so the fact that you are telling his brother so much for everyone, and more importantly, you wanted him for Arsenal, if Lacazette left or not, the fact that he is leaving to go to Leicester, it just shows the level, isn't it? It just shows the level.
It doesn't, because if Liverpool were serious, they would have got him. Arsenal never actually contacted them, so it's irrelevant. But also, let's get to the other team. Gattuso going to Tottenham will be funny, you know, because then we could come on every single stream, Terry, when they lose, and we'd be like, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe S. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be an interesting one. But by the way, the whole Daka thing, you do sound a lot like Prime, brother. Just gonna point that out to you. You sound very Prime.
What do you mean I sound like Prime? Elaborate. What do you mean by that?
I told you so. I told you so.
No, he's trying to defend himself, Terry.
No. I actually am quite. You know what? I've realized at this point I should just stop and just keep it moving. There's no point of even bringing it back. I was just gonna come back and bring it all over again, but no, just leave it, move on. Because at this point, there's no need to talk about him. He's going to Leicester. He's not available for anyone to buy.
Maybe.
And Liverpool were after him. And you see the treatment Arsenal got for missing out on Buendia. Even if we didn't bid on a player, we get treated completely different. Liverpool, they were interested in him. They inquired about him, but still nobody even talks about them missing out on a player.
But you've got to also slow down a little bit, though. I think we've got to slow down a little bit in terms of missing out on people. Liverpool inquired about Pepe, and then they walked away. And I bet they're glad they did. Liverpool nearly signed Werner, and then they didn't. I bet they're glad they didn't. So sometimes I think it's great. Like Daka's got a lot of people that like him. Let's see what he can do at the highest level. He might be brilliant. Yeah, you could sign another superstar, another Haaland. He could be. He scored a lot of goals. Same club, same team in Austria. However, he might also come into the league and score 4 goals all season, miss a lot of sitters, and look completely out of place. And then you'll be saying, "I'm glad." A Liverpool fan will say, "I'm glad we walked away." I think we need to be very, very mindful of that. We're going to add some more callers. We've got James right backstage, Lamin, Habby. We've got Fixer all waiting to come on. But before that, Spurs fan in the house, Alan is here with us now. Before we bring him on, hit that like button, hit that share button for the Football Terrace as well, please. What are we sitting on now? We're sitting on just under 600 likes. Come on, we can get this past 1,000 while we're live on the air, ladies and gentlemen. We can do. We're speaking all things transfers right now on the Done Deal Show. Alan is here with us, and the merry-go-round continues.
Typical Spurs. Always a saga, whether it be signings or managers now. Normally when you go for a new manager, you'll have a list, or betting odds will show who you're going for, and then you'll actually talk to 1 or 2 and make a decision. Not Tottenham, no. This is like number 10 now, and it's still ongoing. Now, apparently, Gattuso's top candidate. No, he's 11th choice because that's how we're doing things. I hope you're right, and it's we're playing a game and it's to get a bigger manager in. But no, in Spurs, it's not the case. We're just trying to scrap around for whoever we can pay for the cheapest price. I don't understand why it's taken so long, because we're in the beginning of a rebuild. We've got a load of problems with our squad, as well as dealing with the Harry Kane situation and him possibly going on, more likely leaving to replace him as well. Catastrophic from Spurs at the moment so far in this summer, and I just see us having a really poor season. I don't see us finishing the top 10 at the moment. The way this is going, we have to start a rebuild soon. Yeah,
I was just going to say, it's funny that you say you're in a rebuild, but you're not actually in it yet. Like, I don't think your club has actually recognized the fact that you need to rebuild at all.
Well, we have. It's the start of the rebuild. So you've got both right backs, which are useless. You've got probably one half decent centre back at the moment. So that's 3 centre backs you have to replace. You've got Harry Winks, Sissoko, Lo Celso, and Lamella's probably just not good enough. So we've got holes all over the pitch, especially with Harry Kane going, our talisman and our playmaker, and like for the season. He's taken up 2 roles, so you have to replace him. The keeper now and again, really good at that. So we are at the beginning of a rebuild.
I get what you're saying. Like, we all recognize that you need a rebuild. All I'm saying is that I'm not sure that your club is actually trying to go through a rebuild. When you buy, like, you try to get Conte, then you try to get the next guy, Francesco, or whatever the heck his name was, Fonseca. That's not really rebuild type things that you're going to be doing. So I agree with you that you need a rebuild. I'm just not sure that your club is ready to accept that, because when you rebuild, you have to kind of tear things down and start over. And I think you guys are still trying to cut corners to try to be a part of the top 6 when you don't even have the foundation really yet. It's kind of like an empty box there.
If most Tottenham fans and other fans can see that we need a rebuild, and the hierarchy at Spurs can't see that, then that's why they should go. That's embarrassing if they don't. So I'm pretty sure they do. But Daniel Levy's always the same, worrying about the bottom line and saving money, getting the best deal he can. Paratici's meant to be doing it now, but Fonseca was meant to be Paratici's choice, and he hasn't landed him, and now we're going after apparently Gattuso. So there's a lot of problems at Spurs.
Do you feel like your trajectory is on a downward trajectory at this point? And it's like we were always talking about how Arsenal was not going on a downward trajectory, and I can start to see we're trying to fix things. We're trying to build towards something. Where Tottenham, Terry said it himself, after you guys lost that Champions League final, it's almost been like every single season just gets worse and worse and worse. And could you see it getting worse?
I do, especially the rate we're going and what we're doing at the moment. Like, I can't believe it's taken, like, this is now going to be 11th choice manager, and legitimately 5 or 6 have actually, 2 or 3 have turned us down, and apparently another 2 or 3 we've said no. So it's not like we've only spoke to 1 or 2, we spoke to about 6 and had talks with 6 odd managers, and we still can't land one of them. It's just embarrassing as a Spurs fan that we can't even land a manager.
Yeah, what would you think, Alan, if Spurs end up getting a Eddie Howe, a Graham Potter, a Scott Parker? Scott Parker, there he's about to leave. Fulham. They've got disputes going on there as well. What would you think if we got one of those? Would it be one of those ones where? Because I personally believe one of those managers actually would be good for Spurs, because they think it's at a level where no one, they're not gonna. Your Potter thing would be perfect. They're at a level where they're not gonna complain about how much they're getting. They're not gonna pick up too much of a fuss about the transfer window. They'll work with what they've got, and right now, I don't think you've got the structure to deal with a manager who can't deal with not getting what they want. So, you think Potter, Parker, Howe, those managers, do you think that should be a good move for Tottenham, or do you just want to stay away from them completely?
Eddie Howe, I don't believe is good enough. That's just my opinion. Parker, I think it's too early for him to manage a big team. So I'm not going to say the same thing for Arteta and then say Scott Parker's the man. Scott Parker's not ready for a big job. Potter, his style of football would fit at Spurs. He's not my ideal choice. But if it was out of them 3, I'd probably take Potter out of the 3 of them. But
is King staying for a Potter type manager though? Can you keep some of your best players with those guys?
I don't think exactly. I don't think Kane's staying at all. I think Kane's gone no matter what. The only chance you possibly could get him to stay is if Conte was to come in, but that's not happening. Apart from that, Kane's going. And I've always said I think he's going to City.
The Harry Kane situation is very simple. The only thing they don't believe he would go as far to do is strike but they do believe that he will hand in a formal transfer request. They do believe his brother, who represents him, has already had meetings with multiple clubs. They are pushing quite hard to get him out. This whole process, though, that Spurs are going through, and look, is testament to why Harry Kane has to leave, because no well-run football club or no club that's going to win major trophies is run like this. I can't think of a pre-season that's ever happened like this, where a team's then gone on to win major things. It's okay, maybe, if you're in a one-horse race or a two-horse race and you are the powerhouse team in that league, but Spurs ain't catching up with all the teams that are in front of them this season, behaving like this now. They don't know who their manager is going to be. They could end up, the Fonseca deal. A lot of people thought Fonseca would be sacked within 10 to 15 games anyway. Gattuso could be exactly the same. If you look at his track record, you look at the way he challenges. Like, I don't know. It's painful to see. It's painful to watch a club kind of go through this. If I just make myself neutral for a moment, it really is. But also, it means Harry Kane's less likely to stay, and he's going to go to one of my biggest rivals, and that's terrible news. Do you know what I mean? So I'm as annoyed with Daniel Levy as any Spurs fan, because it probably means Man City are going to pick up the best striker in the Premier League, and it's going to take even longer for Manchester to be red again. It's as simple as that. Alan, I appreciate you coming on, mate, and having your say. Thank you very, very much, buddy. Top man.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Not an issue. Thank you. Make sure you're hitting that like and that share button, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you just say Manchester's blue?
It's in the best team in Manchester right now, not history, bruv. Just
Terry, I'm gonna hop out really quick too.
Right, no worries. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye, y'all.
You're not gonna catch me on that, Egal. Like right now, who's the best team in Manchester?
Man City.
Manchester City.
And right now, when it comes to season, like our history's bigger and will be bigger for years. But when it comes to enjoying individual seasons, I can't enjoy it fully until we're better than Man City. We've got to become better than them. Them signing Harry Kane is bad news. James Wright is on the show with us now. What are you saying, James? Who do you support?
Hi, I'm an Arsenal supporter. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. What do you want to say, buddy?
Well, I'd like to talk about Ben White, and I'm actually quite excited about it. It seems like we're going through a different approach to the past transfer windows. I think, what was his name who signed? Was it from the Premier League? Richard Garlick? What was his name? Richard Garlick, who's now handling our transfer negotiations, the contracts, and that kind of thing. And I don't know if there's a pattern between that, but we seem to be having a shift of how we're doing business. It's not we're sitting by. We're waiting till the very end of the transfer window and then we're signing 4 players. It's yes, we're linked to so many different people, but we're actually putting in bids. We're actually negotiating. And for me, we're targeting the right profile of players. It's not just a 30-year-old that's inexperienced from Ligue 1. It's 22 to 24 from majority from the Premier League. And I think that's what we need right now, because you've seen in the past transfer windows how much dead wood we've had to get rid of. You're talking Mustafi, Ozil, we still got Kolasinac. We're pretty much paid Socrates to leave the club. We had so much assets that just depreciated because of the bad transfers that we had done and just the bad transfer management. But now I think because we've got rid of that dead wood, we're now at a point where we can't attract, as you guys have said, the top players like Jack Grealish, like, I don't know, Harry Kane, for example. They're not going to come to Arsenal. Why would they? We're not European football. We're not even the best club in London right now, may even not be the biggest if you're looking at Chelsea, for example. But we need to do what Liverpool did, where they first brought in Jurgen Klopp. They got rid of the players he didn't want. They made smart signings like Wijnaldum, like Mane, like Salah for reasonable price that fit the style and fit the profile. And then maybe in 2 years' time, then we can attract the Grealishes. Because right now we're not in that position to do that. So I'm very positive about the Ben White situation.
Do you think we need a center back as our number one option?
Yeah, and not as a number one, but I do think we need a centre back. Because if we're being honest here, David Luiz is left, and he was our best ball progressive centre back. You've seen his long range passes, but he was like 33, 34. We weren't going to extend him. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are getting caught up in we're signing Ben White, so that means Saliba's going. I disagree. I don't think we can pin our hopes on a. For me, he's still very raw as a centre-back. He's 20 years old. He had a good season for Saint Etienne in Ligue 1, and he's had a good 6 months for Nice. But for us to be going in with Gabriel, Pablo Marie, Saliba now, Rob Holding, I still didn't think Rob Holding's levels for us. If we're being realistic of where we want to go, I think Ben White is a big upgrade. And I think if we're going to shift out any other centre-back, it's going to have to be like Rob Holding, for example, because I see more Chambers as a right back, like a backup right back, because I think he did really well when he's performed from his injury that he had. But yeah, I mean, for me, what I've seen this season is we've compromised our attacking output to be defensively sound. Like we've stopped, well, you saw against Chelsea, for example, yes, they're a fantastic team, but we did nothing but defend for 80 minutes and we scored 2 fluke goals, if you want to say, and we won. And that's been, there's been so many times where we played the big teams. For example, when we played Manchester United, where we won 1-0, it was all defense, win a penalty, win 1-0. And I think from where Arteta wants to go, we need higher quality to allow us to expand a bit more and not be this conservative team that doesn't play nice football against the big teams, can do that against the smaller teams because obviously their quality isn't as good as ours. But if we want to be where we said we want to be, competing for the big titles, we need an upgrade in these defensive situations. So as a team, we can be better and not as conservative as we have been.
My biggest concern as an Arsenal fan is that we spend a large amount of our budget on Ben White and the attacking midfield, and we miss out on either the right back, the backup left back, the backup goalkeeper, or first team goalkeeper situations, because those are priorities for me. Because I see that we're going to get a DM, we're going to get an attacking midfielder, and we're going to get a center back, but I think we still need to get all 3 of those other targets, at least even minimal like options in those positions, because if we don't, we can't start the season with Chambers and Cedric as our right backs. We can't start the season with only Leno as our goalkeeper and nobody else but Runnerson. And Tierney is injury prone. And I will say it myself, he's a great player, but he gets injured too often for us to trust him to be our now only left back for the entire season.
Do you know what, though, Agal? I get your point around needing those positions to be filled. You've got to look at this from a different point of view, though, and what I would call a logical and sort of reality check perspective. Maybe your targets in those areas aren't available. So as we've said earlier, do you really want to be going down 3rd choice, 5th choice, 6th choice, 7th choice just to land a body, and then you end up bringing somebody in that isn't any better than Bellerin was? What's the point? You're better off waiting and saving that money.
It's why they have Runnerson. It's legit why they have Runnerson.
Yeah, you panic and run into those situations. Equally, being Ben White, if he's the first person you sign, it doesn't mean he was your club's #1 target overall. It's about when a deal is available. You know, you might, I don't know who, let's just say your absolute #1 target now is Ruben Neves. But say Wolves just don't respond to any of your inquiries. They literally blank you. What do you expect Arsenal to do? No other business until Wolves respond. They might respond on the 2nd to last day of the season. You can't get a transfer window. Sorry, before you have to get deals done when they present themselves. And you might sign your third, not as in 3rd choice player, but you might sign your 3rd priority player first. And your first priority, I mean, most big signings, so many big signings happen late in the window, but they're the main signing, right? It's just how the nature of it is. So I would relax a little bit as Arsenal fans. You're going to look at 2 central midfielders. You're looking at a centre back. I think you will cover those other areas off. Will you be signing superstars in those positions? Maybe not, but you've also got to remember, say you need to fill 5 positions, as in first team positions at your club. That might take you 2 summer windows to actually do that. It's very hard unless you're Man City, unless you're watching. The only reason Chelsea signed so many players last year is they had a summer out. They had a whole summer where they didn't sign anyone. They would have signed, if there weren't no transfer ban at Chelsea, they would have signed 2 or 3 of those players in Lampard's first summer and 2 or 3 and 3 or 4 of them in the second summer. It would have been spread over that period as opposed to getting 7 done in one go. 5, 6, 7 in one window is so unrealistic. Generally speaking, for football, I wouldn't let that bog you down too much, if that makes sense. That's what I'd say on there.
I'm not saying sign 6 first team level quality players. That's not what I'm saying. Lokonga, in my opinion, is an understudy to Partey. A left back would be an understudy to Kieran Tierney. A goalkeeper situation, Onana's available. That would be a cheap signing. He could even be, in the meanwhile, he could be understudy until we get rid of Leno, or he could start right away and we can get rid of Leno and get some money in. Realistically, Terry, I'm only looking at bringing in 2 to 3 starters right away, which is a center attacking midfielder, a right back, and a center back. If those 3 are the ones that we're bringing in that walk straight into our team, we still can't forget we need a Granit Xhaka replacement also.
No, I do understand that, this is what, again, I think maybe we just look at the football differently. I wouldn't want to sign a single player for Arsenal who doesn't have the ideals and the desire to be a first-team player. They have to come in and, like, you may get signed and know that you're behind Tierney, but you've got to come in and you should be wanting your club to sign players with the ability to oust him. And that's why I'm excited about Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier won't have 10 more years in front of him like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but he could come in and perform well enough to keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the bench in the same way that Alex Telles came in and pushed Luke Shaw to up his game, because Alex Telles was better than all the other cover that we had. So that's what you've got to look for. But to get that right bit of cover, it's got to be the right player. There's no point actually signing somebody that isn't good enough to push the person in that current position. But if you're after people that have the highest quality, they are harder to find and they are harder to get done. Teams will charge you a lot more money. And to get all those deals done in one summer, whether they're all first, quote unquote, first teamers, like you say, it's not always going to get done. Fans need to realize that it isn't FIFA, it isn't Football Manager. It is a difficult thing to get done. Listen, James, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, mate. Top man. Thank you. Next on the show, we're going to go to Lamin. Lamin, what you saying, bro?
Yes, Terry, man. With the whole Tottenham situation, I was just thinking, Harry Redknapp is free, innit? So I think he'd probably be an ideal candidate for you guys, because let's be honest, he's been your second most successful manager in my lifetime anyway, behind Poch. So he's probably the guy that you need. But I'm just joking. But I'm just looking at our situation. We need a striker, and I'm thinking we can actually take advantage of this. Yes, I want Haaland, yeah, I do. But I also want Harry Kane really badly. So if we can't get Haaland, which is looking very hard, if Harry Kane puts in a transfer request, there's no way he can be worth 150 mil. So I'm like, you know what? Forget the rivalry, forget everything, forget the fact that he played for Tottenham. I'm willing to forgive all of that if you're just willing to come to the blue side of London. So I'd accept that. Yeah.
If you cancel the transfer request and you put a bid in, Tottenham can still say no just for the fact of Chelsea. Like, you could put in 200 million and they could say no, and another team could put in 150 and they can say yes, just because you're Chelsea. That's the one thing about the Harry Kane, the Chelsea deal, which I think would be that it's more difficult to do than Haaland.
I think there's only two teams that can realistically go in for Harry Kane. That's Chelsea and City. If he puts in a transfer request, it's going to be between those two. And Daniel Levy might be looking for like a transfer bid, a bidding war between the two. And that's when it could get crazy. But I think it's still going to be cheaper for us to get Harry Kane than Haaland. And if it's feasible for us to go in for him, and then even if that means not getting Haaland, I would go in and get Harry Kane, because Harry Kane, I reckon, would guarantee us the league title. You can never say never, but he gets us that much closer to the league title than Haaland, in my opinion.
1-0 to Denmark against Belgium. 1-0 to Denmark against... Go on, the Danes!
That's the first goal, Paulson.
That was very early. So
look at that, straight away in there with a goal very early on in the game. There, I didn't actually see the goal. I just looked up and saw all the red shirts. Hang on, dodgy defending.
Oh, that's poor. I put Qatar in nets, man. Oh, why would you do that? Oh, that's
good finish by Paulson, you know. That's a good finish by Paulson there. That's good. A super chat here that says Terry Varane is using Man United for a new salary. On that, listen, that's exactly what Peter O'Rourke said. Well, Peter O'Rourke didn't this morning say he's using Man United for a salary, but he said that he thinks a lot of credible journalists think that Rafael Varane will remain at Real Madrid next season. And, you know, Ramos leaving might be that. I think there might be this element of Varane to say, watch how I perform without Sergio Ramos. One of those things just to quash some of them silly things that are said. We're nearly at the end of the stream now, ladies and gentlemen. Please send in any super chat questions you got from me or the panel. Lamin, thanks for coming on the show, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. I want to try and get through some more callers here. We've got Eshan AFC on the show. What you saying, buddy? You're on mute if you're trying to talk, my guy.
What's good, Terry? What's good, Igal?
Aslan,
yes.
AJ? How you doing, bro?
Yeah, good, man. So,
yeah, what you on, mate?
Yeah, about Tottenham, man. It's the history of the Tottenham, you know, the history of the Tottenham. Sometimes good, sometimes. That's what I got to say about Tottenham. But yeah, about Arsenal, Terry. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're making moves. We're making a lot of bids. We're openly interested in a lot of players. I just hope, yeah, you know, like these players do get done over the line, because the whole start with the whole Ben Douia situation was a bit of a trip. So yeah, but I mean, some of the players, unlike a gal, I don't agree with. I am all in favour in identifying more Premier League players this summer than just going out and getting players from the continent or internationally. Yeah, that's what I feel so far, man.
I hear you. I think you've got to do that. I think Arsenal are doing the exact right thing in terms of their approach towards players here. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Nearly 2-0, by the way, to Denmark. They have got the bit between their teeth right now, and a win for them tonight opens this group right up. I know we've still got about 10, 12 people waiting back. I can't get any more people on. We're at the end of the show now. I'm so sorry for everyone that's waited. We are live after Denmark versus Belgium. So make sure you tune into the Football Terrace. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.